Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, I had a voice radio. So today, I'm going to be showing you about a Pokemon that is getting no love at the moment. It's Wishiwashi. Look at his adorable little face. Now, in the trading card game, we are getting one in Sun and Moon. He is a non-evolving basic that has 30 hit points. That is the same level as Magikarp and Joltik, except Magikarp evolves into Gyarados and Joltik evolves into Galvantula, and actually there is a very good Galvantula in the Pokemon trading card game at the moment. Wishiwashi evolves into nobody and still only has 30 HP. It has an attack that for one water energy does 10 damage, and that's for a water energy, not even a colourless. It's actually got a weakness to grass because, 30 HP isn't low enough already, and it doesn't even have free retreat like poor old Joltik does. So, at the beginning, no love whatsoever. Now, in the video games, Wishiwashi has the lowest base stats of any Pokemon in existence. So I suppose it makes sense that he's so rubbish, but he has a schooling ability, which makes him look like this. And that is many, many Wishiwashi together. Now, we are not getting that in the first Sun and Moon expansion, but I am interested to see how it's going to work. There are three options. Option number one, it might evolve. Wishiwashi evolves into Wishiwashi schooling form. Option number two, we might just have a separate basic Wishiwashi schooling form. And option number three, it might be that you can use an ability to switch into the schooling form, not unlike some old Deoxys cards that we've had in the past that allow you to switch between them. Or indeed, if you want a more recent example, Aegislash. So if you're watching this in the future and a Wishiwashi schooling form has been released or revealed, which is an ability based, you switch from Wishiwashi into him, please stick a comment down below telling me how brilliant I am. Sorry for new listeners, I'm not always that vain, and I'm probably wrong anyway. So, he's got 30 HP, which basically means he is super duper easy to KO. Couple of the things which make me realise quite how easy he is. Something like a Galvantula could KO 2 of these on the bench using his attack, and in Expanded, dropping a Crobat, you could one-hit KO using the ability. It is not good. So, given that I've spent 2 minutes and 40 seconds telling you how terrible Wishiwashi is, why am I bothering to do a video? Well, it has a very, very interesting ability, Cowardice. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. They've even called the ability Cowardice because they cannot give the poor guy a break. You can use this ability once during your turn, excluding your first turn, or the turn this Pokemon comes into play. Discard all cards attached to it and return it to your hand. Now, you might be thinking that that doesn't sound particularly good, or that you would only really want to use it to your hand to get him off the field. Well, this is an interesting ability, not necessarily a good ability. As it stands at the moment, I cannot imagine playing this little guy in a deck. I don't think it's happening. However, I can illustrate the interestingness using an old rotated card, although it is still legal for tournament play in Expanded. I am talking about Reuniclus. Now, Reuniclus allows you to move the damage around your side of the field. So what you do is you move 2 damage, and this is the black and white Reuniclus. You move 2 damage counters onto Wishiwashi, and then return him to your hand. And those 2 damage counters go away. Don't move 3 onto him. He will get KO'd. Now, Reuniclus was actually used with Donphan Prime and Blissey Prime back, and it got second place at Worlds, piloted by Ross Cawthorn, or as I like to call him, the Ross that isn't me, or the other Ross. The one that's got second place at Worlds twice. And the idea with that deck was you move the damage onto Donphan because he's got a high HP, or you move it onto things like Reshiram or Zekrom, and then you use Blissey to heal all of your Pokemon. And you can do a similar thing here with Wishiwashi. You move 2 damage onto Wishiwashi and get it back. Now, that might not sound like very much, but remember that Wishiwashi is a water-type Pokemon, so you can use Rough Seas. So you move 2 onto Wishiwashi, heal it with Rough Seas, then you move another 2 onto Wishiwashi and return it to your hand. Now you've healed 40. Now imagine you've got 4 Wishiwashi on the bench. You move 2 damage counters to each Wishiwashi. It's a weird name to say over and over again. And you get to go ahead and heal 80 damage with Rough Seas. Then you go ahead and move another 2 damage counters onto each Wishiwashi, and all of a sudden you've actually healed 160 damage when you put all 4 of those Wishiwashi into your hand. That is a little bit interesting. Now, it's relying on having Rough Seas in play. You've got to have, the Wishiwashi on the bench and the Reuniclus. It's a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you could do this the turn it was put down, it would be absurd. Put him down 2 damage counters, pick him up, put him down 2 damage counters, pick him up, put him down 2 damage counters, pick him up until you've completely healed. If it didn't have the restriction that you couldn't use it the turn you played him, it would be amazing in Reuniclus decks in Expanded. As it is an interesting card with an interesting ability. If nothing else, it's interesting because it's a non-evolving basic that only has 30 HP and an attack that does 10 for 1 damage that isn't even colourless. But this is an interesting ability. And what I'm going to say about this Pokemon is, put it in your binder. Because there might well be cards released in the future that make Wishiwashi amazing. And at that point, you are going to want to have a few in your binder to try and take advantage of him. He is far from amazing at the moment. I am going to be forced to give him a single Wasi. But I'm not doing a video on this card because he's terrible. I'm doing a video on these cards because he's different and interesting. It is not the kind of Pokemon card we're used to seeing. It is a very unique ability that may well open up new options in the future. He might be terrible forever, or one day he could be pretty gosh darn good. Maybe in the future I'll give him 3 or 4 Wasis. Who knows? Now, you know the deal, ladies and gentlemen. There is a comment section. Please try and shy away from the "why did you do a video on Wishiwashi" comments, because the answer is several people requested a Wishiwashi video and it's an interesting card, so I thought I'd go ahead. But feel free to tell me how terrible he is in the comments. There is a like button and a subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter @TheWasi, and the most important thing as always is to look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross and you've been watching PTCG Radio.